Ranking the top 15 Martin Scorsese films. Let's go. All right, at number 15, I know it might be kind of low for some people's taste, but at number 15, we have The Wolf of Wall Street. I do love The Wolf of Wall Street, but I also feel like it's kind of a victim of its own popularity, and it doesn't have the same depth or nuance as a lot of other Scorsese films, which also tackle morally bankrupt characters cut from a similar cloth. Many of the worst guys I've ever known see this film and want to be like Jordan Belfort, and obviously that is not the film's goal, nor is it trying to lionize Jordan either. But I do feel that this film is a bit of the victim of the satire paradox. But seeing as Belfort made so much money off of this movie, so shamelessly promoting himself, and how it's been misinterpreted due to its somewhat neutral position, it's hard not to feel ambivalent at the end of the day as well. Still a great Scorsese film that is an adrenaline-inducing roller coaster rush and ride through this hedonistic lifestyle. And, it's meant to poke fun and satirize the sort of people who live like this. It's just not my favorite. Coming in at number 14 is Cape Fear. This is Scorsese at his most sleazy and disturbingly visceral. He brings a lurid Hitchcockian touch to the thriller dynamics here, but those Hitchcockian elements never feel like they're playing into the tropes too far. De Niro is also so delightfully over the top and hammy here, and I love it, reveling in the insanity and sadism of this character. I also love Bernard Herrmann's score here. I love the B-movie aesthetics. I love the unbridled and interesting camera work. And I love how this film explores the corruption of the justice system and attacks the Oedipal family as well. Coming in at number 13 is The Age of Innocence. Listen, it's truly a testament to Marty's incredible range that he crafted this underrated gem of period drama based off of Edith Wharton's novel Between Cape Fear and Casino. Who else does that? Containing some of the most gorgeous production design and sets of the 90s, along with a career best performance from Daniel Day-Lewis. Scorsese once again centers in on and absolutely nails a consistent characterization in many of his films, that of the man who believes himself to be above and beyond the society that surrounds him. Amazing. At number 12 is The Last Temptation of Christ. Willem Dafoe plays Jesus Christ. That's all you really need to know. But seriously, Catholicism as a concept and its many implications and the thematic ideas that spring from it is something that has been a consistent undercurrent in many of Scorsese's films. He grew up Catholic and has long held true to his faith, and it is that faith and its many implications that has shaped so much of the subtext of many of his best works. This film, however, is his attempt to pull all of that faith and the abstract notions of spirituality into a more concrete, discernible story about Jesus himself. In many ways, this film is a masterpiece in how Scorsese chooses to focus on Jesus' humanity as he encapsulates all of humanity's worries, fears, and pain. For a film about God, it is a very human story, and Scorsese executes it with a unique and daringly empathetic approach. At number 11 is After Hours, arguably Scorsese's funniest and weirdest film. After Hours is an ode to New York City, and more specifically to the odd characters and calamities that come out in the wee small hours of the morning. Set in Soho in the mid-'80s and following the escapades of Griffin Dunne, whose misadventures feel loosely autobiographical for Scorsese himself. Yet it's NYC here itself that feels like the primary character in this wild film where Scorsese centers in on ideas of neo-noir, black comedy, and even surrealism to stunning effect. At number 10 is The King of Comedy. In a long line of films about mediocre men living in mediocre societies who aspire for more from their dull lives, but are ultimately brought down by their own self-destruction, The King of Comedy stands out. It contains one of De Niro's defining performances, a magnetic, psychotic, and at times cringe-inducing performance that shows off his immense range. This is arguably Scorsese's best foray into satire, where he thoughtfully and hilariously explores the ugliness of what seeking fame and parasocial obsessions can do to someone. At number 9 is Goodfellas. Yeah, y'all about to hate me for putting this at 9, but it's my list. Truth be told, I've never felt Goodfellas to be Scorsese's absolute best film like many do. It is, however, undeniably amazing and well constructed on a technical, thematic, and aesthetic level. But I simply vastly prefer other Scorsese crime epics and find a couple others to be a little more nuanced in how they center in on more interesting themes and their exploration of organized crime and its consequences. That being said, Goodfellas is one of Scorsese's most outright entertaining and funny films without a doubt. It features some of his most legendary characters and casting, and it is so expertly paced and full of wild moments, and De Niro and Pesci are incredible here, as are many of the ancillary characters as well. Fantastic film, just not my favorite. At number 8 is Silence. It's kind of incredible how amazing Scorsese's later stage films have been as he's reached the twilight years of his career and life. For a man who defined the shape of American cinema to come for decades, all the way back in the 70s, the fact that he is making some of his most thought-provoking, meditative, and complex films now is simply astounding. This is a film where Scorsese revels in his long run times, where the quiet moments are given room to breathe, and in those long, uninterrupted moments of reflective silence, Scorsese allows his actors space to shine and soak up the screen. Featuring some of his most breathtaking cinematography ever, quite possibly his best. Absolutely amazing performances and a breathtaking story that centers in on ideas of faith and culture intermingled with a study of the human condition. Silence is truly amazing. Take the concepts Scorsese thoughtfully explored in his gangster opuses like Goodfellas and Casino, age them up, and add decades of bitterness, decay, pathos, and wisdom into the fray, and what do you get? The Irishman is an epic, all-encompassing crime odyssey about life, love, family, aging, grief, and the human condition, all comprised within the familiar and tragic crime trappings that Scorsese is a bona fide expert in so thoughtfully and meticulously exploring. And with this film, he proved once again he might also be the best at it. The Departed. I mean, it's almost universally accepted to be a perfect film at this point, people. It's one of those films that just masterfully utilizes and implements all of the filmmaking techniques and thematic trappings which Scorsese has become infamous for. It's an American remake of the 2002 crime drama Infernal Affairs. And in adapting and making it his own, Scorsese brings a certain American perniciousness to this story that suits it so well. It's an expertly paced, meticulously shot, and adrenaline-inducing thrill ride of a film with so many satisfying twists and turns of plot. At number 5 is Bringing Out the Dead. In my opinion, the most woefully underrated Scorsese film. Nicolas Cage gives one of his best career-defining performances in a film that is unabashedly wild, weird, macabre, and without a doubt, Scorsese's most purely dark, miserable, and hopeless film. The way he depicts New York City in this film as a sort of concrete purgatory where dreams rise, dissipate, and die from hissing pipes and the ephemeral shroud of sewer grates is amazing. Aside from death, one of the more prominent themes Scorsese nails here is that of exhaustion. More specifically, though, the sort of working-class exhaustion that arises from being between waking and sleeping and not really being anywhere as a result, like drifting through liminal states of being. The first Martin Scorsese film I really fell in love with feels ever more relevant and timeless today. It is a film that ages like fine wine, but it's also one of the most widely misunderstood films in mainstream culture. For anyone who is a Scorsese fan, it isn't obvious that Travis Bickle is not a hero, yet still some individuals see this film and see something to aspire towards. But Travis Bickle is a tragic anti-hero whose isolation, deep disconnection, and alienation from his own humanity and from a greater sense of community and genuine human connection instill in him these deeply antisocial traits and characteristics, which allow this attitude of hate and spitefulness to take root in him and fester until they all but define him. Travis is a character who continues to be timeless, and so much of his molecular makeup as a character reflects that of the male loneliness epidemic, and I believe what makes it truly fascinating is Scorsese's clear commentary about the type of society that perpetually accepts or engages with violent antisocial men like Travis, and what that says about us in a wider sense. Most days, Casino is my favorite Scorsese gangster-associated flick because not only does it embody all of the tragic elements of the life of crime that Scorsese has nailed prior to this, but it's also Scorsese's best film about capitalism seen through the lens of Las Vegas casinos and the Great Grift. He nails the juxtaposition of shiny opulence, materialistic grandeur, and the faux American dream with the brokenness of the human heart in conflict with itself. How wealth and riches never address our base human impulses and petty desires. Scorsese's most recent film, and the last one I had to see before making this ranking, I'm honestly speechless at how incredible it truly was. Despite its lengthy runtime, you never feel a second of it. Not a moment is wasted and every frame is calculated, measured, and appropriately utilized. As the film creeps further on, the fascinating manner of its setting combined with the humor of its characters moves to the wayside as the tragedy and heartbreaking reality of its true story truly sets in. Never before has a Scorsese movie, truly moved me and simultaneously broke me like this one did. It is brutally honest, painfully authentic, unflinchingly brutal and realistic in its violence, and in how candidly and genuinely it retells this story. DiCaprio gives a powerhouse performance, sure to go down as one of his best, as does De Niro, who plays one of the most despicable characters in film history. But the real MVP here is Lily Gladstone, whose performance is one of the all-time greats. Such an amazing, mesmerizing, towering film. I don't understand how he's making films this good this late in the game. And at number 1, in my opinion, nothing in the Scorsese pantheon of films comes close to Raging Bull. It encapsulates everything I've loved for many years about his filmmaking into one concise picture, whilst also setting its sights further. Nowhere else is Scorsese stronger in the art of character study than Raging Bull. The character of Jake LaMotta is dense, honest, and meticulously crafted, and it might actually be Robert De Niro's greatest performance in a career filled with all-time greats. The way Scorsese explores themes of rage, sexuality, insecurity, and hypermasculinity here is incredible, and it's arguably his best depiction of all of them. The black and white cinematography is stunning and so well suited to the film, and all in all, it's just a mesmerizing masterpiece.